Around 5 months ago, I decided to delve into the world of Bruce Springsteen and started right in the middle with this album, 1982's Nebraska. It took me a while to get into it, probably at least 4 or 5 listens, but now I really enjoy listening to it. So imagine my joy when a few days after listening to this album for the first time, I heard about a Springsteen film all about Nebraska. And now, nearly 5 months later, as the nights are dark at 5 PM and we're very nearly at the end of October, Delivery of Me From Nowhere has delivered itself, I suppose we could say, to the cinemas. And I went to see it last night, so this is all my reaction to Deliver Me From Nowhere. And I'm not going to pull any punches from the start. A lot of things I go into with high expectations in my life, I often come out disappointed, and this was one of those occasions. Big style. So I'm going to talk about some of my problems with this film, and hopefully you guys down below will comment your thoughts as well. Now, going into this, I've seen very little in terms of the reviews. I wanted to go into this completely open-minded. Obviously, I was expecting a lot and really wanted to enjoy it, but I didn't watch any reviews of it. I tried to stay clear of Letterboxd, where anything might happen. I saw bits and pieces, but didn't know that much about the consensus going in. Had I known that maybe, some people didn't enjoy it, then it might have been a little bit less sobering to take. But obviously, I was so invested in this film because this has become probably one of the few albums in my regular rotation over the last 5 months. Really enjoy listening to this. So, for the film not to be great, not to be my liking, was absolutely gut-wrenching. As well as this album, over the last 5 months, I've been going through the whole discography of Bruce Springsteen, albeit in a bit of an higgledy-piggledy way. Nebraska, and then the 2000s albums, so The Rising, Devils and Dust, Magic, Working on a Dream, then Wrecking Ball. Then I've gone back to the first album, the second album, The River. So I've gone all over the shop. But the last 5 months of my life, a lot of it has been about Bruce. And Kiss are always there, of course. So, when I saw the trailer for the first time, I remember it to this day. I know it was only 5 months ago, but I was scrolling through Facebook, I think, outside, and then this film about Springsteen was coming out. I thought, that's a coincidence. And then it was all about Nebraska. That's another coincidence. I am very sure that the reason I listened to Nebraska for the first time wasn't that the film was coming out. I am fairly sure of that, but honestly, I can't remember what drew me to it. Maybe just instinct of knowing something was going to happen, possibly, but who knows. And I have to say, from then till now, every time the trailer came on at the cinema with the song Nebraska, it gave me goosebumps. Yet I don't think that happened once during the film itself. Needless to say, this reaction is going to have some spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen this yet, if you're open to spoilers, then fine, but I'd recommend you go and watch the film, unless you are open to spoilers, of course, for this film. Now, one of my main problems with this film is that I didn't really understand the need or the appeal to tell this story. Now, I well understood going in that this was all about the Nebraska, the making of Nebraska, wanted to do something different. After this album, The River, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't. When I say a lot of people who haven't seen the trailer, people who think, oh, it's a biopic about Springsteen. Nebraska's obviously very different to what people who say like his greatest hits would listen to. So that's something that's a bit of a worry going in. Now, I've got no problem with that. As I say, I was really invested in Nebraska, so a story relating to Nebraska, bring me in, happy days. But the film, well, there was a few elements to this film, wasn't there? There was the depression story. There was the fact that Bruce was really struggling with his mental health. There was the relationship with Bruce's father, and there was Bruce's love interest in the film. I think those are probably the 3 main elements to this film that I can think of 24 hours later. But I didn't feel the need to tell this story. This was almost, if this makes sense to me, a depression story or a mental health related story about a rock star, rather than a rock star who had depression, if that makes any sense. It's almost like a mental health issue. It's a mental health theme related to a person rather than the person it's about, Springsteen, with those mental health issues and getting over them. So that's the first problem. That I don't understand the need to tell the story, and I don't think the appeal's there. The commerciality definitely isn't there. And again, I was okay with that going in. I think a lot of people would have probably been turned off by that, I would say. But this is all about me. as I said, I was quite happy to have a film about Nebraska. But when the storyline's uncovered, I didn't walk out feeling I knew any more about Bruce, which is a problem. It's a real problem, because a lot of the biopics, I mean, they are becoming more and more regular, it seems, doesn't it? I was talking to my friends who I went with last night, and we were trying to think of, well, what started this trend? Maybe it was Bohemian Rhapsody, possibly. That's been, what, maybe 6 or 7 years since that came out now. Of course, we had ones before that. We had the likes of this film in the early 2000s, Walk the Line, which I really enjoyed. But in recent years, we've had A Complete Unknown, which was the start of this year. I really enjoyed that. We had Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse one last year. Amy Winehouse and Bob Dylan, artists I'm not interested in, but I really enjoyed them. Anybody who knows me will know I'm a massive fan of The King. Mr. Presley, this was a brilliant film when I watched that. However, it was a 5 out of 5 when I watched it at the cinema. I had this for Christmas last year, and I haven't watched it since, because I'm quite scared to go and watch it and ruin that film possibly for me. And if I keep dropping the Blu-ray on the floor, then I shan't be watching it. The disc will be broke. But I feel like these films, well, any film should do something. It shouldn't just be popcorn. Some films are. Some films are just turn your brain off for an hour and a half. It's a popcorn film. But I feel like this is absolutely the antithesis to this. This should be the complete opposite. But I walked out thinking, I don't really know much more about Bruce Springsteen than I did when I came in. But I'm not an expert, so it's not like I know everything already. I know some things, I know some background, but I do expect somewhat of an education. And for an outsider, I feel like this would be the case as well. We had Nebraska, we had then Born in the USA, and that they were portraying, which I guess did happen, that they Bruce recorded the Nebraska and Born in the USA and wanted to put it as a double album, and then we had Nebraska and Born in the USA, which came out separately. But I feel like filling in the background after that, which might not be important for some people, it's almost like, well, the ending of the film paints a picture that Bruce did Born in the USA and it was all up, onwards and upwards from there. Well, breaking news, the next album was this, Tunnel of Love, which is very much a return to Nebraska, alright? It's not as acoustic, but some of the songs are very dark, and there's a lot of relation that's there to the breakup of his first marriage, and I feel like that maybe could have actually been a bit of a better story. The album before Nebraska, The River, could have been a story about the river. I feel like from a song's point of view, that would have been much more commercial. Or a story about the Tunnel of Love album, because that could have been really dark. Now, whether Bruce would have signed up to that, possibly not. I feel like him uncovering his own issues is okay, but I don't know, the breakup of his first marriage, is that really relevant to a biopic? I'm not sure. I mean, of course, he's got an autobiography, hasn't he, Born to Run, which I've got but haven't read. Maybe that would go into a lot of detail about that, but I already feel like I'm digressing a bit. So, yeah, I thought maybe a story about the river or Tunnel of Love could have been more captivating, possibly. Certainly better material on this to use from a commerciality perspective. The second element of the film, the relationship with Springsteen's father, I don't think it's all that developed, which is such a shame because there's a lot of potential there. Stephen Graham, who played Springsteen's father in this, is a brilliant actor. He's been in so many things I've enjoyed him being in. Just the top of my head, he was in Boiling Point, that was an excellent film. Line of Duty, that was a great series. He's been in so many things. A little bit like Pedro Pascal, but not to that extent. He's been in a lot the last sort of 5-10 years. But Stephen Graham, really good actor. But a lot of relationship with Springsteen's father came in flashback form, which you would expect because when Bruce is making Nebraska, of course, there's a lot of isolation themes, so it doesn't make sense to involve his father all that much. But I feel like I didn't learn that much more about the relationship with Springsteen's father to what's on My Father's House on the Nebraska album, which just happens to be my favourite song on that album. Now, I assume that that's relating to or suggesting that it's the relationship with Springsteen with his own father. In the film, I didn't get much more than that. Just the fact that Springsteen's father wasn't perfect and he had his own problems with mental health issues, depression, etc., etc. Was that a purposely done creative decision? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that wasn't all that well developed. Something else that annoyed me slightly, and I've got mixed opinions over this, is that I think at least, from what one of my friends told me on the way home last night, is that Faye, the love interest in the film, wasn't a real person. Now, creative license is fine in some ways. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't hate it like I hated. I think I could be wrong. It's been a lot of years since I've watched this. I think in Bohemian Rhapsody it portrayed that either Freddie Mercury left the band or they only got back together on Live Aid, which, that didn't happen. And I had a big issue over that because that was massive to the storyline. Whether I have a massive issue over this, maybe not, but it's more fuel to the fire, more ammo to me to go, really? Why put the love interest in there if it's not even based on a real person, or rather based on a sort of collation of girlfriends from throughout this period? So that was frustrating. Because the plot was a bit sluggish and a bit slow, I gave it time to breathe because it did start off quite slowly. This is just under 2 hours, so it's not a really long film at all, but after a while I really started to struggle. I thought to myself in my mind, okay, it's a bit slow, we're going to get there soon. We're going to get there, come on, we're going to get there. And I actually got to a point where I'm thinking, no, this is going to be near the end of the film now, and there was 20 minutes left, and I checked my phone. It's a bit fatal, but I checked my phone, there was 20 minutes left, and at that point, something in my brain went, no, this ain't for me. Nothing's going to change in the next 20 minutes to do it for me, which is really, really disappointing because I was really looking forward to this film all about Springsteen. The last thing I will say about this, well, there's a couple of things. The first thing I'll quickly say is that what's actually a shame is I think this has been a bit of a flop. I understand again from the small bits and pieces I've read. From my experience, and I was at my local Odeon in the iSense screen, which is a big screen, it was pretty empty. It was 8 PM on a Monday evening, so yes, it wasn't the weekend, but equally, the film only came out last Friday, so it's only been out 3 days. It was pretty dead. So that's worrying. The final thing I'll say from my critique of the film is that I feel like I didn't believe it was Bruce Springsteen. When I looked at the character, I thought I couldn't get into the illusion that it's Bruce. Is it because I'm too close to it? I'm not sure. Because I believed in the Bob Dylan biopic, so it's not just a case of somebody not being alive, for example, going, well, that's not Bob Dylan, that's Timothée Chalamet. And yes, it is, but you almost get a bit of the illusion. I have to say, though, especially from some of the side shots of Jeremy Allen White, it is Jeremy Allen White, not Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright's in Bond, isn't he, Felix? I'm completely digressing now. Anyway, some of the shots from the side very much look like Bruce. Almost had the eyes of Bruce. So is that very clever editing or is that AI in use? I don't really know. Interestingly, one of the friends of mine who came with us to watch this isn't a fan of Springsteen at all. Not to say he doesn't like Springsteen, but doesn't really know any of his music, apart from maybe Born in the USA and a couple of others. He said it was okay, but not brilliant. And I was really interested to see his point of view, because I thought, when I walked out, I thought, is this a me problem, not the film? And I've had that sometimes when everybody else has gone, yeah, that's great. And I'll accept sometimes, okay, good film, just not for me. And it happens. There are some films that you can accept, yeah, that's good, somebody else might like it, but it ain't for me. And that's what I think sometimes when I'm at the Odeon watching the trailers. Looks like a good well-made film, but it's not going to be one for me to watch. Not my cup of tea at all. But he said it was okay, not brilliant, but he thought it was okay. The songs, he said, weren't great, and I get that because Nebraska is one. Even if you are willing, like me, to take the plunge and listen to Nebraska, it's really rewarding, I think, but it takes a long time to get into. Sort of 4 or 5 listens to get into the album. So I can understand that. There were a few tracks from other albums. I think Born to Run was shown here. Obviously, you had the benefit of this being recorded in conjunction with Born in the USA, so we had Born in the USA. Was the Nebraska demo in the film? I can't remember now. I'm gonna divert slightly because I have listened to some of the Electric Nebraska since he's been out in the last week, and I have to say the Born in the USA demos are brilliant, awesome. There's the Electric Nebraska version, and then there's a demo version. Both of them very good in their own right. Not sure about the rest of Electric Nebraska, but I can't remember now if the Born in the USA Nebraska demo is in this film. Can't remember. But, yeah, I can understand why the music wouldn't be great for people, and I think that's one of the big pulls of a biopic. Obviously, is the music's a big pull, but if the film itself isn't that great, I feel like the music, which Bruce's music, some of Bruce's music really can, ramp something up and give it gives something a lot of joy, even when, ironically, a lot of the lyrics are pretty dark lyrics, like Born in the USA, for instance. A really sort of upbeat song, but very strong lyrics, and sometimes not taken in the way it possibly should be. But yeah, this was disappointing. It really was. It was disappointing. As I say, I like music biopics. There's been a lot of them in the last few years, and I'd say I've probably got a mixed history with music biopics. Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought that was okay. I loved Elvis. Back to Black and A Complete Unknown, the ones I've watched in the last 18 months, I think. I really enjoyed those. But this one didn't fit the bill, unfortunately. And as I said, I've had quite a few of these since I've been going to the cinema the last few years. High expectations and it doesn't deliver, and it was a real gut wrench, particularly this one, because I've been so invested in Bruce Springsteen the last few months that, such a missed opportunity. But I think I'll get over it. But I know it sounds dreadful to say, I almost want to forget I watched it. Because this, on the next day, today, when I've been at home, I've listened to Nebraska again, had a great time. I've listened to the Wild, the Innocent, the E Street Shuffle today and enjoyed that. And I've listened to Tunnel of Love today and had a brilliant time with that. Just for reference, this is my favourite Bruce Springsteen album. I don't think anything's going to top that. So, I feel like I want to get this film out of my mind. Because I really wanted to enjoy it. Unfortunately, I didn't. It wasn't terrible. I think as a rating, I'll do a bit of a write-up on Letterboxd later. I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, which for me is code for not my thing. I might recommend it to somebody else. It can't be anything below that, because anything like below a 5 for me is almost, it's, not great at all. There's some merit to this, but it's not great. On the other hand, went to see a romantic drama comedy film the weekend, Regretting You, which is a real sort of female woman's film. Not to be stereotypical, but it is that kind of film. Expected nothing out of that, and I enjoyed it. And again, the last 3 visits I've had to Odin, Regretting You, I Swear, and Roofman, really enjoyed them. So maybe 4 in a row just wasn't meant to happen. If you've seen the film, let me know down in the comments what you think. And if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, make sure to leave a like. I wasn't sure about doing this before I've done it, but I have to say that this has got a lot more mileage than I thought it would. So I've really enjoyed doing this, and hopefully I can start to do more of these. And I think this is going to be co-broadcast on my music channel and my film channel. So I know my music channel's been running for a lot longer, and because this is about Bruce, about music, I thought I'll put it on both channels if I can. If you are watching on the music channel and you do like film, then please go and subscribe to that film channel, because I'm planning to do a lot more content over on the film channel, and then hopefully try and bring some music content to you all as well. But I really appreciate you watching this reaction/review. It's not a total review, and again, this isn't almost a channel update. This is like a post-credits bit. So there's not going to be anything more about the Springsteen film now, so you can switch off if you like. But what was I going to say? See, I've gone on a complete tangent and lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm going to call this a reaction/review, because a bit like music, I enjoy film and music for what they are. I don't want to delve into them and go, look at the cinematography of that, or look at the lighting of that. I just want to talk about how I enjoyed or didn't enjoy a film, and maybe do tier lists of films and everything else. I hope that's enough, and if that's enough for you and you just like the sound of that, hit that subscribe button. It is a great, great help. And of course, if there's any of your friends, family, colleagues, whoever that might like to watch this video, really appreciate if you can share it to them. But I'll stop rambling anymore. Go and watch the film if you want. I'm probably not giving it the best advertisement there. But if you don't want to go and watch the film, particularly on these quiet nights, grab a blanket, grab a cup of tea, turn the lights down, and listen to some Nebraska. And I'll see you next time. I don't know why I'm going out almost whispering, but we'll stay with it. Goodbye for now.